Hello, Scrufftards and random strangers. Welcome to the War Zone. I'm Scruffy, and this is Scruffy Tales. And in this video, we will take a look at how Ukraine pushes the advantage in Kursk, and potentially Ukraine is ready to open another front. And pro-Russians out there, that you might be wondering why I'm not talking about Pokrovsk. Why am I only focusing on Kursk? Well, the thing is, I figured out quite some time ago how Russia would be advancing on Pokrovsk. So I'm not really that interested because on the 30th of April I said that if Russia wants to take Pokrovsk, they will advance along the railway, which they are doing. So now that that is happening, I'm like, yeah, called it, realized it, not interested to make videos about that. Similarly, on the 31st of January, called that, you know, Russia would be attacking from the north out of Belgorod and Kursk towards Kharkiv and Sumy. As it says, with time, Russia will have the troops needed to open a new northern front line. So, you know, no, that doesn't really interest me at the time. But this, what's going on at Kursk, it's, new, fresh, dynamic, super interesting. So that's why I'm focusing on it. So Kursk, where Ukraine is pushing the advantage and potentially is getting ready to push west, and get this, maybe getting ready to attack from the west. So first off, let's take a look at some of the units here. As you can see, the amount of identified Ukrainian units taking part in the offensive have grown. I think we're up to 5 or 6 mechanized brigades. It started off with 4. We have 2 special forces units. We have 4 drone units. It was 3 in the beginning. And you have airborne units and what have you. It's just a lot of forces involved in this offensive, and the number used to be 10,000 troops all in all. But I'm curious if it's not more than that. I mean, take a look at all of these units. Likewise, taking a look along the eastern front, we have a lot of motor rifle brigades, some Navy units, infantry, taking part in holding the western flank. And on the eastern flank, we have some interesting units, motor rifle brigades, drone units, marine infantry. Take a look at this PMC, apparently a veteran unit, so I guess former Russian soldiers that have signed up again, and they are now treated as a PMC, private military contractors. I don't know, a bit strange. But this is interesting on the western flank. This unit, 98th Airborne Division, and take a look, you have quite a lot of units within this red box, and I'm guessing they are helping holding the border, because the border to Ukraine is just off to the left here, and also obviously supporting the main fighting here going on around Kornevo and Snagost. And the region where we can find the 90th Airborne Division is quite interesting. Here you have the border to Ukraine, the front line where you have all the main fighting around Kornevo and what have you, Snagost. And of course, we heard of late the Ukrainian strike against the bridge at Klishkovo, a region that has been evacuated for a day or two. Russia has called general evacuation of this entire area, and during the day, Ukraine struck this bridge, one of 3 main bridges over a river that runs this way. You have Klishkovo, Svanove, and Karish. These are the 3 main bridges. And Ukraine has now struck this one, and this will obviously make it difficult for Russia to resupply this section of the front line, because the river goes over here to Komarovka and then heads north. So taking out the bridges will make it difficult to resupply this front line. But there's more going on. I made a video yesterday where I was talking about Tatkino, a Russian border town right on the border with Ukraine. And here, these blue dots are Russian strikes on Ukrainian positions within Ukraine, and this red dot is a Ukrainian airstrike with JDAMs on a Russian military HQ within Tatkino. And also we have heard reports that Russia has encountered Ukrainian reconnaissance and sabotage units operating around Tetkino. So we have Ukrainian ground forces around Tetkino, airstrikes aimed at Tetkino. We have Russia shelling Ukrainian positions just beyond the border. And further in, we have an airstrike at one very vital bridge. So I'm thinking Ukraine is looking at securing all this territory here south of this river, between the border and the river, right? Not unlikely. And so here we have the river, and here we have Gleshkovo, the location of the bridge, Gleshkovo and the bridge itself, and stretch of the river here, and the blown bridge. The other bridge is located here at Svanoe, and then you have a bridge at Karish. So these three bridges are basically the only viable crossing points across this river, and Ukraine has struck one and potentially will attack the last 2 points as well. So if the white dotted line is the river, we have the two remaining bridges, the destroyed bridge, and then the question is, will Ukraine push in from the east and move west, or will they push in at Tetkino and head east, or will they push from both ends and try and grab all this territory and force the Russians out of Snagost and force them back and then north of the river? We'll see, but I mean, it's not unlikely that Ukraine will try something in this region, right? Yeah, I'm thinking it's really likely. And if we take it, the Andrew Perpetua map, previously we've been looking at the Ukraine control map. Now we have the Andrew Perpetua map, and if we zoom in here, where he has highlighted that Ukraine has pushed out almost to the river here at Kamarovka. According to him, they are roughly a mile away from the river, about to cut off Koronevo from the south, right? And he's also highlighting that they are already in Snagost. So what is fighting in this area? Well, we have Snagost, we have Motor Rifle Regiment of the Russian Air Force, supported by that airborne brigade in this area. So apparently Ukraine is pushing hard to reach the river and cut off Koronevo from Snagost, and then Ukraine can outflank both Koronevo and... Well, some technical issues caught me off there, but it is what it is. Moving on. So yeah, to highlight what I was talking about, Ukraine appears to be pushing steadily towards the river, and if they do so, they can follow the river north to outflank Koronevo and follow south to outflank Snagost. And I mean, we have this push along the border as well, which could potentially allow Ukraine to do a pincer move around Snagost and these other settlements, forcing the Russians here to fall back. And of course, we also have everything that's going on at Tetkino, JDAM strikes, reconnaissance units moving around, and Russia attacking locations within Ukraine. All of this could be a diversion, basically, to tie up Russian forces that now has to hold this part of the border, just in case Ukraine tries something and tries to launch another attack. And if they are tying up forces over here, I mean, this front obviously is weaker, which should allow Ukraine better chances of actually performing these maneuvers, forcing the Russians back steadily. And we'll see if they blow up two or all three bridges, or if they will leave these two open for their own maneuvers later on, if this is successful. But I do think this is what we're looking at. Ukraine wants to reach river, which will enable them to attack Koronevo. It will enable them to take Snagos and push Russia back, and then they will start maneuvers to force Russia out of this entire area here south of the river. And this could potentially be a diversion, or we will see Ukraine pushing in at Tetkino to try and attack from the west and the east. So, zooming out a bit, it would basically mean that Ukraine has all of this, and if this is successful, they push out to river, they could actually also claim all of this from Russia and make that occupied territory along with what we're seeing here. And this would be, if this is the case, that would be a major land grab. Interestingly enough, if this happens, then Ukraine has a pretty good option here of following three large highways that will take them to Rilsk. It kind of depends if they blow all three bridges or keep one open, because then they are in a very good position to launch assaults from here, from Koronevo, and from Ukraine along the E38 main highway at Rilsk. So maybe all of this could potentially also end up being occupied territory. It all comes down to how many forces and how many resources Ukraine has available to conduct operations in Kursk Oblast, obviously. So, but I'm thinking this could be within their reach. Maybe they might overextend if they do it. Who knows? I have no idea what the Ukraine has available, but this at least seems very plausible, and I'm thinking that Ukraine will try and pull this off in the coming weeks. And we must not forget that way over here, Russia has the 47th Tank Division on the move, brought up from Kupiansk, and I'm guessing they will soon be joining the fray around here at the eastern flank, bringing in hundreds of tanks and plenty of BMPs, a lot of firepower, and they will make life difficult for Ukraine on this flank here. And throwing in the ISW map here into the mix, Ukraine control map, a guy on X, Twix, called Cloud, he has made his own map, and it's pretty accurate actually, or it's accurate. It's similar to ISW and the Ukraine control map. As we see here, he's highlighting the push to Bolshoi, which Ukraine control map also has. And like ISW has this push out here, which is this one towards the river. And he also has this pincer move in the north, which looks like this on the ISW map. So this is interesting. Here we can see that Ukraine is trying a pincer move. The Russians in the middle here. Question is if they will hold or fall back to avoid being encircled. Same thing here. Ukraine has the opportunity to push out this way, depending on what Russia has available, of course. So we could have a pincer move here and even here. And of course down here, Ukraine is pushing out to cut off these resupply routes leading to the front line in this area. And so, yeah, but what is interesting here with the ISW map is this section here where the Ukraine is pushing out towards the river. Because when we zoom in on this area, we can see that according to ISW, Ukraine has already reached the river and has already successfully cut off Koronevo from Snagost, right? So according to ISW, Ukraine has succeeded in reaching the river and cut Russian forces in half, and they are now ready to begin maneuvers westward uh, towards those bridges and moving along the river to secure this large chunk of Russian territory. And as we can see here, according to ISW, Ukraine, yeah, they're ready. They are in a good position to begin maneuvers south of the river and to secure all of this territory, which is a huge chunk of Russia that Ukraine is now in a position to actually try and occupy. Quite incredible. And God damn it, take a look at this. What the hell is this? I have no idea. I haven't read any ISW reports about it, so I'm guessing I'll stay up a bit late and try and find out what's going on up here. But this is happening. Ukraine has pushed in and opened potentially another front line in Russia. And what's the goal? Diversion? Are they trying to draw troops from the fighting down here? Or is this an actual push to open up a new front line? Who knows? But again, take a look. I mean, Rilsk. Is this the main goal? Will they try and reach E38 and grab all of this as well in the long run? I don't know, but this is super interesting. What the hell is going on up here? Maybe just a raid to throw off the Russians, force Russia to allocate resources up here while the fighting is going on down here. Or is this an actual attempt to push in, grab territory, come up behind Russian forces and grab as much territory as possible? Who knows, but super interesting, no doubt about it. And that's the end of the video. I hope you found it interesting, and I hope I'll see you in the next one. As always, go på marsch, Ukraine. Give them hell.